You are 6 years old, and you already know the sound a fork makes right before someone gets angry. Not the sound of anger itself, the sound before it. The small scrape of metal against a plate, half a second too hard, half a second too fast. You have learned to hear the difference between a normal scrape and a warning one. Nobody taught you this. You just started noticing it, the way you notice a floorboard that creaks before you step on it. Dinner at your house happens at the same table every night. Same 4 chairs. Same order of who talks first. Your father usually starts because if he doesn't, the silence makes him uncomfortable, and his discomfort makes the whole room tighten, like a rope being pulled from both ends. So you watch his hands. Not his face. His hands. If his hands are still, the night will be fine. If his fingers start tapping the edge of the table, you already know to make yourself smaller. You don't decide to do this. It happens the way blinking happens. By the time you're 8, you can walk into any room and know within a few seconds who is in a good mood, who is pretending to be in a good mood, and who is one small thing away from not being able to hold it together anymore. Your teachers call you a well-behaved child. Your mother says you're easy. Nobody says the real reason you're easy is that you have never stopped watching. This is where it starts. Not with a decision to be quiet, with a room that taught you silence was the safest place to stand. There's a specific kind of quiet you get good at. Not the quiet of having nothing to say, the quiet of choosing over and over not to say the thing you noticed. You notice when your friend's laugh is a half-second too loud, which usually means she's covering for something. You notice when your coworker says, "I'm fine," in a tone that has extra weight on the word fine, like he's holding a door shut with his foot. You notice the exact moment a conversation is about to turn, 2 or 3 sentences before anyone else in the room feels it coming. And every time you notice, you have a small choice. Say something, or don't. Mostly, you don't. Saying something means being the one who names it, and naming it means being responsible for what happens after. So you file it away instead. You become a person who knows things about other people that those people don't know you know. It feels at times a little bit like power. Mostly it just feels like exhaustion wearing a calm face. In school, you're the kid teachers ask to sit next to the difficult one. Not because you're brave, because you're predictable. You won't escalate. You'll read the room, adjust yourself to whatever the room needs, and the difficult kid will settle down a little because something about your stillness makes people stop bracing for impact. You get good grades in a subject nobody teaches. Reading a face before it changes. Reading a text message for what's underneath the punctuation. Reading the 3 extra seconds before someone answers, "How are you?" and knowing that pause means more than the words that follow it. Somewhere around 14, you notice something else. The quiet kids at school are not actually quiet. They are simply choosing, constantly, not to speak the first thing that comes to mind. You start doing the same. You rehearse sentences in your head before they leave your mouth. You cut the honest half off and keep the safe half. You get so good at this that eventually you stop noticing you're doing it. It just becomes the shape your voice takes. Here's the part where things look like they're getting better. In your 20s, people start telling you that you're a good listener, that you're easy to talk to, that you have this calming energy. You like hearing this. It feels like proof that the years of watching everyone's hands under the table finally turned into something useful, something people want. Friends bring you their problems before they bring them to anyone else. You're the one who gets the 2 a.m. text. You're the one who can tell, from one sentence in a group chat, that someone isn't okay before they've said anything close to that. People start to depend on this. You start to depend on being depended on. Maybe this is just who you are, you think. Maybe you're simply considerate. Maybe some people are naturally more attuned than others. And this is a gift, not a habit built out of a childhood table. That explanation feels true, because parts of it are. You are considerate. You are attuned. Those things are real. But underneath them, is an older reflex still running, one that was never about kindness in the first place. It was about staying safe in a room by predicting it before it could surprise you. The first plateau comes here. A relationship maybe, where for once you actually say the thing. You tell someone you're upset before you swallow it. It goes fine. Better than fine. They listen. Nothing explodes. For a while you think, this is it. This is the version of you that speaks up. Then, a few months in, the old pattern quietly comes back, wearing a new outfit. You still speak up now, technically, but you speak up in the softest possible version of the truth. You round the edges off before anyone can see them. You watch their face while you talk, adjusting your sentence in real time based on the smallest shift in their expression, and by the time you finish talking, you've said something that is almost, but not entirely, what you meant. You still think of this as progress. In a way it is. But it's the same reflex, upgraded. You're no longer silent. You're just still reading the room first and letting the room edit you before you speak. At work, this becomes a strange kind of asset. In meetings, you're the one who notices when a decision everyone agrees to out loud is one that half the room actually disagrees with. You can feel it in the pause before someone says, "Sounds good." You know which silences mean agreement and which ones mean I don't want to be the one who says no first. Your manager starts asking you privately what you think people really feel about certain decisions. You become a kind of translator between what the room says and what the room means. It's useful. It's also lonely in a way you don't examine too closely, because being the one who reads everyone means you're rarely the one being read. Nobody asks what you actually think until they need to know what everyone else thinks first. Maybe you're just an introvert, you tell yourself. Maybe this is simply how some people are built, more comfortable observing than performing. That explanation is comfortable to sit inside. It asks nothing of you. It doesn't require you to look at the 6-year-old watching a pair of hands at a dinner table, learning that speaking first was a risk and staying quiet was a strategy. Both things can be true at once. You can be someone who genuinely prefers to listen, and also someone who learned, a long time ago, that silence kept you safer than honesty ever did. The second thing doesn't cancel out the first. It just means the quiet isn't only a preference. Some of it is armor that fits so well you forgot to take it off. The second plateau comes later, quieter than the first. You start therapy maybe, or you start journaling, or you just start noticing your own patterns the way you've spent your whole life noticing everyone else's. You think, now that I see it, it will change. Awareness helps. It genuinely does. But awareness and change are not the same event. You can know exactly why you go quiet in an argument, watch yourself do it in real time, name the pattern out loud to a friend afterward, and still, in the moment itself, go quiet anyway. Because the reflex doesn't check in with the part of you that understands it. It just runs, the way it always has, faster than the newer, wiser part of you can catch up. You start to wonder if you'll ever actually be the one who speaks first. Not the edited version. Not the version that's already read the room and adjusted. Just the first unfiltered sentence. Here's the thing. Almost nobody tells you about being the person who reads everyone else so well. It means you often have no idea what you feel, because you've spent so much of your life monitoring what everyone around you feels instead. You can tell within seconds if your friend is upset. You cannot always tell, in that same moment, whether you are upset too, because that particular sensor was never built. Nobody at that dinner table ever asked how you felt about the fork against the plate. You only ever needed to know how everyone else felt about it, fast enough to adjust before it became a problem. So you got remarkably good at reading rooms, and remarkably slow at reading yourself. This isn't a flaw people can see from the outside. From the outside, it looks like wisdom, depth, that calming presence people keep thanking you for. Nobody sees the 6-year-old still running the math in the background, still counting the seconds between a scrape and a shout, still convinced that safety comes from watching everyone else closely enough to never be caught off guard. Somewhere in your 30s, or whenever this catches up with you, it happens in a small moment. Not a big one. A dinner, maybe. Your own table now, your own kitchen. Someone you love sets a fork down a little too hard, and before you've even registered the sound, your whole body has already gone still and alert, scanning their face, checking their hands, calculating the size of the room's next 5 seconds. And in that instant, you recognize it. Not as a metaphor. As a memory replaying itself in your own house, at your own table, with your own hands gripping the edge of a chair, the way another set of hands once gripped the edge of a different one. The skill is still there. It never left. It was never really a skill in the first place. It was a child, learning the only way she knew how to stay safe in a room that never once asked if she was. The fork sits there on the plate. Nobody has said anything. The room hasn't changed. Only you have.